Howdy! In this presentation, we will take a quick but thorough look at an up-and-coming biofuel that already plays a role in the energy transition, ethanol. From its biological roots to its impact on our economy and agricultural status, we will explore why ethanol matters and what might be next. Now, ethanol is a type of alcohol made from plant materials and is used as a renewable fuel, mainly blended with gasoline. It's been around for over a century, but its role in energy didn't have much traction until the oil crises of the 1970s, and again with the rise of climate change concerns. As a biofuel, ethanol is made from recently grown plants, which sets it apart from fossil fuels made using organic matter. The most common sources of ethanol are corn grown in the United States and sugarcane grown in Brazil. However, researchers are also working on utilizing cellulosic materials such as switchgrass. These crops rely on photosynthesis to convert sunlight into sugars and starches that can be later fermented into alcohol, and as a byproduct, ethanol. Now, cultivation varies, but large-scale farming may raise concerns about land use, fertilizers, and sustainability. Once the crop is harvested, they will go through a multi-step process. First, the starch and sugars are extracted. Then, microbes, usually yeast, ferment the sugars into alcohol, which will then be used to make ethanol. This process is not too dissimilar from how beer is brewed. After that, the ethanol is filtered and purified through distillation. This whole process relies on basic biological pathways, namely photosynthesis to grow the plants and fermentation to create the fuel. Ah, Thankfully, as it gains its ground, ethanol has become very widely available. In the US, most gasoline sold at pumps contains a percentage of at least 10% ethanol. This is called E10. There are higher blends, such as E85, though they are less commonly used. Brazil runs a majority of its transportation on sugarcane-based ethanol. Meanwhile, research is still going on for cellulosic ethanol, which would be more sustainable in terms of agricultural waste. Ethanol greatly aids in reducing greenhouse gas emissions because the plants it is made from absorb carbon dioxide as they grow. Now, when ethanol is burned, it then releases that CO2, but it still is a part of a shorter carbon cycle than fossil fuels. However, if forests are cleared to grow biofuel crops, those carbon gains would be eradicated. That said, it is a give and take that is not a perfect solution, but it is significantly better than oil. In terms of the economy, ethanol is quite the partner. Ethanol creates jobs in agriculture, distribution, manufacturing, and more. It plays a big role in the rural community for states like Nebraska or Iowa. Government subsidies and mandates have helped the industry grow for the better. However, there are trade-offs. It can affect food prices, especially when corn is diverted from plate to fuel. Now, the public sees ethanol through one source currently: fuel blends at gas stations such as E10 and E85. There are common concerns about engine compatibility, but actually a majority of vehicles built after 2001 can safely use E10. Education efforts by organizations like the Department of Energy and Industry groups to clear up confusion, but such as with many things, public awareness is currently quite limited. Ooh. Looking at the data, ethanol is a helpful transition biofuel. While it may not be a perfect solution, it is significantly cleaner than fossil fuel, helps reduce waste, and uses already existing infrastructure. Still, we should push for second-generation biofuels that don't compete with food and have a lower environmental impact, like cellulosic fuel. Practicing more efficient farming methods would also help reduce emissions and runoff. So, lastly, if funding were not an issue, I would propose a few big moves. The first being a massive investment in cellulosic ethanol research and production. Second, upgrade the infrastructure so more vehicles and stations can handle higher ethanol blends. Third, support farmers in switching to more economically friendly cultivation methods. And last, launch public campaigns to raise trust and awareness in biofuels. Here are the sources used to gather all the information for this presentation. All images used will be credited also. Thank you for watching!